calling me Portaloo Phil from the Battle of Portaloo.
So what happened?
Well, in the early hours of the morning, about 6 a.m, I got a call to hold the line. I was on sentry duty, so I ran up to the corner of Hill Street and Molesworth. It looked like going towards Kate Shepherd Place. There was a group of police and protesters, so I went and checked that out, talked to some of the cops. Everything seemed cool and calm there, and then I heard from up the road someone was yelling, "They're at Molesworth," so I ran up with a few others to Molesworth Street, and I saw that they were moving the bollards in 30 metres. And when I arrived, they were just moving the second bollard in from where it was at the top of the street to about 30 metres down the street. There were more police than protesters there, and so I stood back and said, "Fall back and bind up." And then some of the other protesters started to go, "Oh no, we're not going to do that," and there was a lot of dissension, which is unusual because I'm on the front line just about every day, and most people sort of know that I do that and are cool. But my tent mate Phil, who I didn't know had been arrested, and he's normally with me, so there's two of us calling the same calls, and it's more powerful that way. So I fell back a little bit, and then I came forward again to see what was going on. White car came driving towards us. The police, who were all facing us, just parted like they knew it was coming, and it slowed right down just before it got to the police, and then it braked suddenly, so the brakes squealed. Didn't hit any of the police, but the police then surrounded it and started beating on the windows, and all the protesters in the area were looking at it, and I got suspicious. I started to fall back, and I noticed on the quad on the right there was about 40 police forming up, and maybe 12 of them had riot shields. People with riot shields came running from the quad, and they ran straight down the footpath, outflanking our front line. So I turned and ran 40 metres down to the corner of Hill and Molesworth with about 6 other people, and by the time we got close to the Portaloos there were probably 20 odd protesters there already. Now the first thing that happened was a large guy, Dylan, got hit from behind with one of the riot shields, and he turned around, grabbed the riot shield and just spun the police officer, who lost his footing and fell on the ground. And I put my arms out like this to make sure none of the protesters tried to attack him or do anything. I thought I was there for like 10 seconds or so, but people tell me it was a lot quicker than that. The rest of the people with riot shields came on me and started knocking me back, but not like trying to cause injury, just knocking me back. And I could hear them saying, "Fall back, fall back." So I started to fall back, knowing that they're probably worried about the safety of their own. Tried to bind up with a couple of people, ended up binding up with Monty, a 17-year-old, on my right hand side, and some guy who bound with me for about 2 seconds and then ran off as soon as the guys with the riot shield came in. They pushed us back a little, and I was saying to the guys with the riot shield, "You don't need to hurt me, all you need to do is ask me to move back if you want me to move back," and stood just a few feet away from them. I pulled out my phone and engaged the camera and started taking the badge numbers. And then the senior sergeant, who was off about maybe 5 metres to my left, came over and he stood right in front of me, and they pushed on me, and he kept on saying, "Fall back," and then he started throwing punches. He threw in total, I think 7. It was at least 5. The first 2 or 3 were overhand left hooks, which hit me here. Then when he could see I was still holding the camera and I hadn't gone down, he tapped the guys that were in front of me holding me with the shields, and they parted, and then he came at me with two uppercuts to my rib and chest area. I presume to try and break my ribs or perhaps just win me. And when that wasn't effective, I was like, what are you doing? You know, there's no need to be throwing punches and stuff. I'm falling back, and he yelled, fall back, and I hit the waterloos because I was slowly moving back at that time. Then I got another punch or two, and a few seconds later he lunged at me, ground both of his thumbs into my eyes, and by that time I was angry, and I broke the line and charged him and tried to hit him, and they just, three of them descended on me, threw me on the ground, threw me with my arm underneath me and hitting me, and then started yelling, put your hand behind your back. And I was like, I can't, I literally can't. You're holding me down, and I've got my arm pinned under me, and I still had my camera in my hand, and as soon as I got my hand out from under me, they knocked the camera away, and someone said when they were arresting me and tying me up, one of those cops took my phone, and they have not released it to me, and of course that has all their badge numbers. So that's what happened, and they then found me behind my back, marched me to the paddy wagon with Monty, and then instead of going straight to the Wellington Central Station, they went all the way down the highway, I think as far as Lower Hutt, and then turned around, came back. It took over 25 minutes for them to get there. I was breathing hard. Monty was saying just, breathe and relax, but I could see how the windows are clouded. I could see we were on the highway, and we were on the highway for a long time, and they had to turn around. So either they went to the Nowra corner and turned there, or they went all the way to Lower Hutt and turned there.
Sorry. So what happened then?
I was released from the binds, I forget what they're called, but they weren't handcuffs, they were just
Cable ties.
Yeah, cable ties. Thank you. And I think there were three officers: Sam, Cam, and Jordan. And Jordan was a nice tall chap, and he was really pleasant to me. He documented my injuries. Took me into the cell, got me some water, some paper towels and stuff so I could clean myself up a bit. And Cam and Sam took me in for fingerprinting, and I guess I was there maybe 35-45 minutes. They released me to the EMTs who took me to the hospital. That was Quinn and Mark, the EMTs. Both of them were very pleasant, and when I arrived at the hospital, a nurse sort of got me ready, put her ID in. I asked the nurse, are you busy today? She went, no, it's very quiet. And then the doctor came in a few minutes later. His name was Piotr, Piotr, and he said, he's worried about concussion, and he wanted to do a CT scan to make sure I had no fractures or anything, and then left me to fall asleep for 2 hours. So if he was worried about concussion, that's probably the most deadly thing that you can do for concussion. After I slept for a couple of hours, I felt a bit more refreshed. I did a little bit of Tai Chi just to relax and calm myself. I went out to talk to him. I said, how long do you think the CT scan will be? He said, how long's a piece of string? And I was just like, you you obviously think, because I'm a protester, you're just going to leave me to last. And I said, can you take out the iPhone? I need to go. I went to the truck behind the food tents and
At Freedom Village.
yeah, yeah. The only treatment I've received has been at Freedom Village.
Thank you. How are you feeling now?
A little sore, but full of love. People here, like I got on the bus and people on the bus, at the back seat of the bus, I was standing and there was a person about my age, a bit older, talking to a young woman about how we're scum and everything, and I could hear her. And when she left, I walked to the back of the bus. I said, do you mind if I sit down and talk to you? And he said, yeah, go ahead. And I said, I heard what you were saying before. I just want to say I was one of those protesters, and this is what's happened to me. One of the officers did that. And he said, well, you know, you should be ashamed of yourself because you're spreading it. And I laid the facts on it. I told him about the stats and what's happening with how many people are being hospitalised and dying who are vaxxed, who are fully vaxxed. I explained to him I was in a tent with fully vaxxed people, with boosted people and with unvaxxed people, and I had just received a COVID test that was negative after 14 days here. And then I got into the stats and where we could find them on the RNZ side or at MedSafe. I asked him if he actually knew the stats. I asked him if he knew how many people were vaccinated. Of course, he came straight back with the succinct lie of 96%. I said, go to covivax.live and you'll see it's 77%, which is nearly 20% out. Explained to him about immunisations and stuff. And so he couldn't handle those facts, and he started, oh well, I walked through it and the place is a mess and it's disgusting and you people should be ashamed. And I said to him, look, we're protesting, and part of protest is being disruptive to people so they bring their message to politicians. And if you don't think that all the people in the camp haven't been disrupted in their own lives, you're wrong. And much more disruptive than you having to walk through us every now and then. And so he seemed to be getting upset by that stage, and I said, well, actually, what you've been saying to me is showing you to be very ignorant of the facts and what's going on. And when I said he was ignorant, he got up and he pressed the button and got off the bus. And I got out on Lambton Quay. The railway bus stops nearly a kilometre away from the railway now. It stops halfway down Lambton Quay at the farmer's stop. And so I got out and I walked along, and a lot of people you could see, because of how a lot were giving me the awful, ooh, you're one of those without a mask on and all beaten up. I walked through the bollards and all I had was love. Everybody just crowded around me. They wanted to hear what I had to say. They wanted to give me their love and hugs, and there's my experience, and I just I appreciate that you guys wanted to hear about it as well.
Do you think that they will give you love because they actually saw the truth?
I don't think most of the truth had come out by then. It was word of mouth. And they wanted to know what had happened. And the videos that did come out, by the time I got back, was 17 seconds out of over a minute and a half of footage, probably even longer. But I've seen a minute 47 of footage that describes that last part of what happened from just after where the police officer was on the ground. and they came through on us, and that one senior sergeant went through punch after punch after punch, which I did not respond to until it gouged my eyes. And at that stage, I was up against the portal. I had to respond. I didn't want to, but sometimes you can't just be pacifist. You can't do everything peacefully because I would have just been beaten until I was unconscious.
That's a good question. Did you see what happened to the car?
The white car,
Yeah.
the driver who they got out, some people said, oh, he got beaten bad. He didn't. He was treated like gold. I was absolutely sure he was a plant. Next night I was out on patrol, and he came. That same driver came in a Mazda Demio. I've got it on video actually.
Okay, so what happened to him on that night though?
He came. He had his window wound down. All the officers that were out there that night had no badge numbers anywhere in sight, and he did like a little hoon around. He tried to get in past the bollards, and the police blocked him off. And then he went over to the other side of the road, the McDonald's side, and he parked in there, and they all crowded around, and I got the number plate, because the white car had no number plates.
Yeah, so he got away though?
No, the police got him.
Oh yeah?
And they pretended like they were arresting him, but 2 hours later we saw the guy again. And they had let him off, and he just walked straight into camp. And he's really suspicious. Somebody said that the white car, when they found it out what the number plate was, I don't know how they did it because I didn't see any number plate on it, is registered to a homeless person who lives in Cuba Street. So, interesting, right? But
would you like to say anything in conclusion?
Like, what would you like?
So,
Oh, the general public. Okay.
believe in the police still?
Look, I'm vaxxed. I'm here supporting an end to the mandates. I'm here because the Public Health Response Act is an overreach. Emergency powers are made for wartime. We're not at war with our population. We're not at war with the citizens. It needs to be repealed. Completely repealed. We don't want this power in the hands of Labour or National or ACT or the Greens. That act must go. And basically the people here are all loving and are all here in peace to support an end to the mandates and getting rid of that act so people don't suffer. So two clearly separate classes are not made on our watch, because this is the start of tyranny. When you can, for whatever reason, whether it's race, sex, or your medical status, say you can't go here and you can. We've created two classes, and that is the start of tyranny.
Thank you so much. That was a 20-minute video.
Seriously, I've had 35 minutes, 15 minutes, literally everywhere I go.
Sorry to keep asking you things, but is this the moment where the white cars
No,
are?
this is the next one. So this is like,
So this is when the white car...
no, this is the next night. And you see this? This is the car who turned up.
So is that a different car?
Yeah, same driver, different car.
Oh, yeah, hold some food. Phil's going home.
fat too. It
Phil
doesn't
probably
eat as
wants
much.
meat and I want vegetarian or vegan, please. Could I get a full description of this one? It's nasty.
Yeah, it's Park now is 5'9", 5'10". Sort of dirty looking, but nice clean clothes, you know.
Yeah,
Kind of suspicious.
trying to look like us.
Let's see if I Danny
If
might
there's any
have.
way I could get it.
Thank you, Phil.
Danny might have